Okay, I love this article. I think everybody needs to hear it. It's just incredible. This is Raw Story Opinion Piece by Sabrina Hockey. The name of it is The Clock's Ticking on Trump's Immunity, and he just broke the law. This week, when border czar Tom Homan threatened to arrest California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Donald Trump goaded him on, telling reporters, "I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great," and adding, "Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it's a great thing." While Trump brays about having a Democratic governor arrested and Kristi Noem had a Democratic U.S. Senator tackled for asking questions, someone should tell them the two can play at that game. In the state of California, inciting public violence is a crime, commonly known as inciting a riot. Under California Penal Code PC 404.6, it is a crime to deliberately exacerbate violence by encouraging peaceful protesters to engage in violence. PC 404.6 states, anyone with the intent to cause a riot doesn't act or engages in conduct urging a riot or urges others to commit acts of force or violence or the burning or destroying of property, and at a time and a place under circumstances that produce a clear and present and immediate danger of acts of violence or destroying of property, is guilty of incitement of riot. Every law enforcement agency in the United States, including the FBI, knows and teaches that an excessive show of force will turn peaceful protesters into violent rioters. Almost instantaneously, recommended de-escalation methods are even published on Trump's Department of Justice website. We've all been saying this. Police de-escalate. They're trained to de-escalate. De-escalation is like a religion almost to them. It's like the part of their Bible. It's part of their credo. De-escalation. Yeah, but we haven't seen any of it. We've seen the opposite. Nationwide police and FBI anti-escalation standards, coupled with Newsom's objection to the military presence, lead to one conclusion. Trump sending troops into LA based on the fiction of an invasion is a deliberate provocation. I agree. Not that my opinion matters, but I think a lot of people agree. Trump is trying to incite violence to serve his own political goals of declaring martial law, in violation of California's penal code, and should be arrested for same. Nothing radicalizes citizens faster than being brutalized by state force. Whomever is advising Trump in LA knows that the quickest and surest way to radicalize any population is to use or display disproportionate force against unarmed people. A disproportionate government response to civic unrest predictably triggers anti-government sentiment and causes violence that feels like self-defense. Yeah, this is... It's just ridiculous. So the FBI has provided de-escalation training to law enforcement agencies across the U.S. for the past 50 years. So it's impossible that Trump, Pete Hegseth, Pash Patel, Trump's FBI director, are all unaware of it. Trump may have deliberately chosen unqualified clowns for his cabinet, but every one of them has attended enough rubber chicken conferences to know the importance of de-escalation. By sending the military into LA for what started out as largely peaceful protests, Trump is doing the opposite of what his own police intelligence counsels. Newsom is hip to what he's doing and has made clear that Trump is putting the LA public, the police, the military members in harm's way. And he and the mayor of LA keep telling Trump, who knew it already, heavy-handed violence from the government never pacifies dissent. It causes violence to explode exponentially, which is Trump's plan. Trump's police state. He's made no secret of his plan to recall thousands of American troops from overseas to station them inside on American soil. His goal, modeled after his fascist idol in Hungary, Viktor Orban, is to impose a police state under which media, judges, political opponents are silenced, imprisoned, or worse, for criticizing him. With tanks in the streets and Fox News propaganda running spin 24/7, Trump will be able to remain in office until he appoints Don Jr. as his successor. Trump's so close. So close. Trump's objective is to remain in power, which he has admitted, and to insulate himself from legal accountability until he dies. Yes, but I think I'm going to editorialize just for 1 second. He may be Don Jr., but they're pretty much done with Trump. All they needed was inside the government. Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, David Sachs, Elon Musk, they just needed in. And Trump gave them that in. They hate J.D. Vance, put there specifically for their purposes. They don't need Trump. They don't need Don Jr., but I'll continue. To that end, he has done everything in his power since returning to office to instigate violence on the streets, and not just in L.A. So far, he's tried to incite riots by arresting a black mayor, arresting a black member of Congress, arresting a sitting judge, kidnapping brown people on their way to work, and sending migrants to foreign gulags without due process, all while filming and televising the cruelty as widely as possible. Republicans are scared shitless, otherwise they'd stop this madman. Their cowardice is on display before the rest of the world. Watch what a member of Canada's Parliament, Charlie Angus, just said in a formal statement about Trump's conduct in LA. Offering solidarity and prayers for the people of California, Angus delivers a full-throated indictment of Trump's police state, rioting, noting, "We are not talking about creeping fascism here. This is full-on police state tyranny from gangster President Donald Trump." In a fiery and delicious 10-minute speech from the Canadian Parliament, Angus rages that a convicted felon and sexual predator dares to threaten Canada's sovereignty. Angus urges his fellow Canadian lawmakers to block Trump from entry into Canada and to block his scheduled attendance at the upcoming G7 conference. I think that's a great idea. A great idea. Withhold federal funds and arrest Trump. Newsom is correct to consider withholding federal taxes from a fascist president determined to defund states, universities, and organizations he doesn't like. A state withholding federal taxes is unprecedented, except for a brief period during the Whiskey Rebellion when farmers in Pennsylvania refused to pay the whiskey tax. It's also logistically complex because federal taxes are paid by employers and state residents directly. But what Trump is doing is to destroy the nation is also unprecedented. 95% of his executive orders exceed his constitutional authority. It's true. The state of California is the nation's biggest donor state, meaning it pays $83 billion more to the federal government every year than it receives. Sounds like a trade deficit to me, doesn't it? Nearly 3 times as much as the next biggest donor state. In addition, California taxpayers contribute more than any other state to total federal taxes, according to the Internal Revenue Service data. In FY 2023 to 24, California's total federal taxes were $806 billion, nearly twice as much as Texas, which contributed $417 billion, and more than twice the $384 billion New York contributed. So whatever damage our toddler-in-chief hopes to inflict on California's governor and state economy will assuredly ripple throughout the nation's economy. Acknowledging that what Trump is doing to California is pure theater, Newsom should take his own advice. He can start with serious talk about how to withhold funds from Washington, because two can play at that game too, and consider having Trump arrested. Even though a sitting president can't be prosecuted while in office, they're not immune from arrest or criminal charges or prosecution after leaving office. There's at least one precedent. That was President Ulysses S. Grant, who was brought into custody for speeding. The point isn't sending Trump to prison, where he'd be today if not for the Federalists that he installed on the Supreme Court. The point is, and Merrick Garland kind of soft-shoeing his way to prosecution, the point is fighting Trump's theater fire with theater fire. Trump has cast himself as the strongman star of his own fascist reality show, but he's not the only official with the power to have people arrested for breaking the law. Sabrina Hockey? I hate that I'm just massacring her last name. She's a 25-plus year federal trial attorney specializing in First and 14th Amendment defense. Her columns are found at Alternet, Chicago Tribune, Howie Political Report, Indiana Democrats. So look her up. I love this piece. It's great. Thank you for watching, listening, and thank you for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. I do. I really do. Thank you.